Moving on to 3A Sectional 19, one of the more intriguing matchups across the state in 3A. You've got Eastbrook still undefeated, 11-0, and have beaten two really good teams from Northeast Indiana in Leo and Harding last week. At Belmont, the reigning 3A state champs. What do you see in this one? Because my biggest concern, I guess, going in would be the Belmont offense versus the Eastbrook defense, because you know Eastbrook, They beat Leo, and then I won't want to say contained Rod Smith last week, but the weather did a lot of that work for him. But that's got to be the biggest concern, is how do they move the football against Eastbrook's defense?
Well, I'm going to sound hypocritical here, or contradictory, I should say, because Belmont is going to want to run the ball against Eastbrook, but Eastbrook is exceptional at stopping the run, and if they do that, then it's going to force Belmont to pass. Belmont does not like to pass. Having said that, Nick Hall threw for 3 touchdowns last week and showed that he can pass. What is going in Belmont's favor this week is that they do play a little bit tougher competition week in and week out than Eastbrook does down in the Grant County area. And the other thing is they're at home, so that certainly helps them. I really think this is a coin flip game. I'm going to root for Belmont, being the local kids, but if you told me to put my house on the line, I'm going to go with Eastbrook to win this game barely.
As far as what they brought last week to the table, Eastbrook, they were down 14-0 against Harding. And Harding, with that run game, they're generally not a team that's easy to come back against. Right. How were they able to do it, and how do they continue that momentum into this game?
Well, they got a couple of turnovers, and they ran the ball well as well, and they shut down Rod Smith, which shortened Harding's drives. Once Harding got up, they couldn't have long, sustained drives working their way down the field and keeping that clock ticking. The Eastbrook defense stopped them, got the ball back, and they, in turn, scored. So their defense really helped bring them back.
So you like Eastbrook,
barely,
perhaps in a very, very, very tight ball game down at Bob Worthman Stadium?
Yes.
All right, let's move on now to 2A Sectional 27. This is a game I don't know that much about Winchester. I don't know if you do. 9-2 at Bishop Luers, but I do know a lot about the Knights. I saw them last week against Eastern, and they were phenomenal in the first quarter and actually had a lot of offense going before the rains came and slowed everything down. Is this a team that's kind of hitting its stride at the right point of the season?
Well, it is, and it's playing teams that are closer to their school size. Winchester does not play a team larger than 2A all year. Now, Bishop Luers plays 9 opponents that are 3A or bigger. So that tells you right there that Luers is not going to be shocked by any 9-2 team. There is nobody Winchester plays that has the speed of Bishop Luers. Nobody. And so I really like Bishop Luers in this game, even though you look at the records and 9-2 kind of scares you. And can Winchester win? Certainly they could win. But I think that they're going to have a hard time dealing with Luers' speed. Especially you get Kenny Mullen out on the ends and breaking runs, whether it be in the kicking and punt return game or as a running back or as a receiver. Winchester just hasn't seen speed like Luers has.
And you got the young guy at quarterback, James Kanapke, started the season. He was just a sophomore, very little, if any, varsity playing experience. Now he seems to be catching on that offense. We've seen him throw a couple touchdown passes recently.
Well, it's November 2nd. Everybody's a veteran now. There are no rookies anymore. So every single week that you get hit, every single week that you read defenses, every single week that you have to complete passes under pressure, you're getting that more confident and that more knowledgeable in running the offense. So that's what you're seeing out of some of these sophomores that are getting their first year's taste of varsity football. Everybody's experienced by this time.
All right, and let's move on to the final local sectional. We're talking in 1A Sectional 35. Southern Wells taking on Southwood, and Southern Wells 9-2. Obviously, at this point in the season, last year they were undefeated and went on to face Sheridan in semi-state. What do you see from the Raiders this year that could allow them to be successful at Southwood, which is not an easy place to play on Friday night?
It's not an easy place, but you know what's interesting? Southwood's only won 1 home game this year.
Really?
And so, yes, they have a home field disadvantage, I guess. But Southern Wells faces much along the lines of Bishop Luers. They face much stiffer competition than Southwood does during the season. Last year they beat Southwood 35-0, and that was with Spencer Krinn at quarterback for the Knights, who was a really talented athlete that didn't play football this year. So I really would be shocked if Southern Wells has any trouble whatsoever. They're going to run rampant on Southwood's defense. They gained 299 yards last week, and they're not going to have any trouble with Southwood. They'll take care of Southwood. And the Knights, they're just going to look forward to basketball season. Coach John Burris is going to have a really good year this year, so it's time for basketball at Southwood.
Is Southern Wells a kind of team that we could see, maybe we didn't pay that much attention to during the regular season, but could be one of the last standing teams from Northeast Indiana when it all comes down to it?
Well, absolutely, because they're in that league with a bunch of schools bigger than themselves, and so they don't really stand out. But once they get into single-A competition, they're bigger, they're stronger, they're more powerful, they run over you, they're more disciplined. It's kind of like playing Navy or Army or Air Force in football. Their execution is impeccable, and so they're playing schools their size now, just like Luers is. And so you're getting the true measure of how good they are.
All right. He's Tom Davis. I'm Glenn Marini. We'll have it wrapped up for you on Friday night. He'll have it in the paper every single day. But thanks for logging on to Wayne.com, and we'll join you next week for another edition of Inside the Zone.